Are you ready to level up your journey? Welcome to Get On Top, where we dive deep into the riveting tales of self-made entrepreneurs and corporate titans who have scaled the summit of success. Get ready for a roller coaster of insights, inspiration, and a roadmap to elevate both your mindset and your life. This is Get On Top with Morgan Browne. Okay, Carla, thank you so much for being Get On Top.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I have been waiting for this conversation for, I think it's been like over a month that I've been like, Carla, you have to come on. And you're like, we're here. So we're here.
I'm so glad that our schedules finally connected. Yeah.
Well, tell everybody just a little bit about, like, again, that foundation, where you're from, who you are, and just where you're from originally. I think that's always a nice kind of way to start.
Okay. Well, I would say that I am from Vancouver.
Yes.
But originally, fun fact, born in Moncton, New Brunswick.
Oh my God.
Grew up kind of traveling across country with my family. So then we went to Montreal. Then we came to Vancouver and settled because my parents love this West Coast weather that we have. That's so wonderful.
Beautiful.
And really grew up with a very entrepreneurial minded family.
Okay.
So my dad was a financial planner and just really hardworking, all the time. And my mom was also working, but mostly a homemaker, like created this amazing environment for me and my brother where there was always family meals and baked goods. And we had our friends over and just a really great, we had the ideal kind of childhood. Yeah, it was really nice and supportive. Then I fast forward, went to, I'm just going to fast forward right into college.
Go into college. Yeah. You don't have to get past all that other messy stuff.
So jumped into college, went for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I decided it was just not for me. And so I left. I dropped out.
What did you take in college? What was your thing?
I was taking a whole mix of things, but I thought I really wanted to go into marketing.
Cool.
Was what I wanted to do.
Right.
But I dropped out and I just wanted to get working.
Okay.
And so my first job, I was a photocopier sales rep. Tough job.
Like from Xerox
From
kind of situation?
Minolta.
Oh, Minolta.
From Minolta.
Whole other level.
And I met my first mentor there.
Okay.
And he was amazing. We're still in touch to this day and in touch with his family. I'm friends with his daughter and his son-in-law. And he really gave me some really wise words of wisdom and, kind of helped me when, I was knocking down those doors as a salesperson and, getting some major rejection and, beating myself up over it. And his response was like, never talk down to yourself. You need to talk to yourself kindly and you need to manifest things because that is, how you speak to yourself is how you're going to be. So he was amazing. And then I went into a professional field. I went into recruitment and I worked for a few different companies. I thought that was going to be the industry that I was going to be in. And this is back into the early 2000s now. And so I was working for a technology firm. And then this was when all of the .com bubble was just starting to
coming
explode.
out.
And everybody was investing majorly into all of these companies that really didn't have any foundation. And then the bubble was bursting. And so then this company that I was working for was about to just collapse. And so I had some choices to make. I had a couple of friends that worked there and they went to go start their own agency and said, come with us and we'll do it together. And then I was with Danny, who's my husband now.
Yes.
And he said, or we could follow our passion and go into fashion and start up our own fashion brand. And so being really young and having just this entrepreneurial spirit, that's what we did. And we just
How old were you at that time, Carla?
I was 27.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge risk that you took immediately.
It was.
And so Danny was your boyfriend at that time.
He was my boyfriend. Yes,
Wow.
he was my boyfriend. And so he was soon to be my fiance. So we got engaged, got a mortgage and a dog all in the same year.
Oh my God.
And started a company.
Quick. And we're still together. We're still together, everybody.
And we work side by side every day, shoulder to shoulder.
So you started it with what in mind? So obviously you started this company. Did you immediately come up with Gentle Fawn? Like, was that
with the name
with
or
the
with
name?
with the concept?
With it both. Tell me. Yes.
So the concept came up because really it was just out of this lack of in fashion.
Okay.
So it was like in the early 2000s, there were a lot of, we call them lifestyle brands. So it was like surf, skate, snow, kind of like boyfriend looking type clothes. And there wasn't a lot of fashion. There was some fashion that was coming in from Europe, but not a ton of it. So, and there was none of the, like, nothing existed, like, Zara's or any of that. Nothing existed yet at that time. It was in Europe. It wasn't here.
Okay.
But we could see things starting to shift into more of a fashion trend, and we wanted to have that. It just wasn't available. So that's where it started from. We just, me and my girlfriends couldn't find what we were looking for in the market.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we wanted
just need.
It's just a need.
I need a need.
Yeah. We just wanted to have something that we wanted to wear, really.
Wow.
And the name came from a ceramic fawn. So Danny and I we've always been big mid-century modern buffs. And we were antique shopping one day and we came across this little ceramic fawn. And we said, this is going to be the name of the company. We're going to call it Fawn. But you can't trademark a color.
No.
And so that was it. It couldn't be fawn. So we had to come up with something else. So Danny, he's actually a graphic designer by trade.
Okay.
And so he came up with this pink arched logo that was gentle fawn. So you can kind of think of like circa 1960 Palm Springs kind of vibe.
Very cool.
And so the logo's changed. It's much more modern and simple looking now and clean. But at the time, that's what it looked like.
Wow. And so you were like, gentle fawn.
Gentle fawn.
We have this beautiful need. How do you even go about? I think that's the first step, that people are always like, okay, I can start something. And now it's changed a lot, right? You can go online and check everything out. What was it like when you were first starting it out? Were you sourcing everything yourself? Was it in Vancouver? Like, what did it look like for you back then?
Yes, it was so different. So initially, it was all domestic development.
Okay.
And so there was a little manufacturing hub here in Vancouver. Really, it doesn't really exist anymore. It does in a very
Yale Town.
Yeah, actually, Danny's first, before him and I started our business together, he used to have a company and it was in Yale Town. There was a little fashion hub there.
I think there was a hub.
And he would be rolling racks right down the streets. And so that was a really cool time. And over by where we are now in the Olympic Village area, there is a little fashion hub over there too. And there was back in the day as well. So that, so sorry, back to your question. How did it all get started? Domestic development. So yes, we did start off. And so we would have our pattern maker who would go around and she would collect notions like zippers and buttons and, fabric. We would go and get the fabric and then we would go over to get the patterns made, and then it was all just done in-house. And you need special equipment. So things were a lot simpler back then, like in the construction of the actual garments. And so once things started to evolve and more companies were going offshore, we also went offshore.
You went offshore.
And unfortunately, the industry in Vancouver just started to shrink. And it's essentially
now gone. Yeah. What year was that when that all changed?
That was actually just like 3 years into the business. So about 2006.
That's crazy.
It was, yeah.
So 2006, you're like, we're going to go offshore. Is it lots of visits? Were you just...
It was lots of visits.
Yeah, lots of visits.
Yeah, new factory relationships.
Okay.
And those relationships take about 2 years to establish. They're not quick turnaround times because you're going through developing prototype and you're going through sampling and then bulk production. And then there's, you're paying for all of your bulk and then you're starting it over again. And so it's just it's a long-term relationship. So you really have to be sure about who you're doing business with.
The way that you talk about it, if you were to kind of put yourself back in that position again in today's market, what are 3 things that you would kind of look for when starting something brand new? Because I think a lot of people want to know, is it as easy as it like to start something now, right? To start something in that clothing space. I think it looked like it's gotten more difficult. I don't know. You guys are queens to me.
I guess there's different ways that you can start. It depends on the kind of thing that you're trying to develop.
Yeah, right.
And how complicated it is. So, if you wanted to go into something simple like T-shirts, actually T-shirts can be quite complicated because it sounds so simple, but if you just get some small thing wrong, it can be really obvious on a simple silhouette like a T-shirt.
Wow.
But you can go and start with, a factory that specializes in T-shirts.
Right.
And then that's all that they do. So it really...
That's kind of nice, though.
Yeah. So there's different factories that specialize in different areas. So sweaters versus wovens versus knits.
Or jeans.
Denim. Yeah. So they all specialize in different areas. So there is a lot more access, I would say, through the internet now to find those different factories than there was back then. Back then, it was really just word of mouth. And
wow.
Yeah.
So Gentle Fawn, I want to go back to that. So you started just with the two of you.
Mhm.
And then where is it now? How many people are you guys employing, and what's how much did you get to and how much have you leaned out?
So
There must have been change.
There's been, oh yes, it ebbs and flows throughout the years, always. But yeah, we're at 33 now. So we have our internal staff at our headquarters here in Vancouver. And we've got our marketing team, our ops team, sales, our development team and design team and marketing.
Yep.
And then we have our U.S. sales team as well. And there are employees in the U.S.
Oh, so they're
physically
US.
in the U.S. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
They have to be.
They have to be.
Right?
They have to be, yes.
Yeah. And so you having that, what has kind of become that from the simple idea of the Gentle Fawn, how has it evolved over the years now?
From a simple idea to what it is today. Well, I would say that, it's funny because I actually think in reverse a little bit of that simple idea, because we had taken Gentle Fawn, and as many entrepreneurs do, we saw a lot of shiny things and we were like, oh, let's do a little bit of this and let's do a little bit of that. And I feel like in the early years, we were actually getting a little distracted. And at one point, we had a distribution company where we were bringing other brands in to sell into Canada. And then we had two other brands. We had a sweater brand called Left on Houston. We had a high-end sustainable brand called Elon. And then we were doing at one point intimates, and we had jewelry.
Of course, because you're kind of leveraging these like little vertical pieces, right?
But then what happened is that when you're dividing up everybody's time, it's just your budgets are divided, your time is divided, and it becomes really challenging. And so we actually simplified things. And we said, we're not going to do that anymore. We're only going to focus on Gentle Fawn, and we're going to look at everything that's going to make the brand the best that it can be when it comes to all of the different departments. So the operations, making sure that we have the systems in place, making sure that we have all the SOPs for our staff, making sure that we've got, the right marketing in place and the budgets to align with that, the things that we want to do. And for development, making sure that we're continuing to improve on our fits and design. So everything. So we actually pulled back, I would say, in many ways to make sure that we were focusing.
You have to slim it down so that everyone's attention is on that one thing, right?
Everybody's got to row in the same direction.
Everyone has the same direction. So now, of course, you've also, I'm guessing over time, you've all had to take placements in the company in a little bit more. And now you've moved into, changing that role from founder, owner to CEO to, those positions. How was that? And how did you make those decisions?
Well, the CEO role from founder was definitely looking at things more strategically. And so that's where, the conversation about the shiny things as an entrepreneur, and for me at least, and from my experience, was that taking that founder and removing, I guess, some of the emotion out of it. And just really zooming out and going, okay, what is strategically what's best for the business? And how do I bring everybody into this so that we can, make the best decisions for today and for the future, and looking at the long-term planning and mapping everything out for those plans.
Yeah, it's so important. I think, there must be some hard lessons that you've learned along the way. What were some of those things, in leading people and building that brand?
Right. So leading people, that's really interesting, because for a company our size, I would say that, HR can play a really challenging role in things. We're not HR specialists. We use fractional HR when we need to, but really a lot of it is left up to our leadership team. I don't want to say left up. It's on our leadership team to manage what's going on. But I would say from a perspective of the things that I've learned from leading people is that if somebody's out of alignment in a way, or they're not meeting the expectations of the business, and I don't catch that right away, I don't address it right away with somebody, and I let it slide because it's it's just that one time, or it's not that big of a deal or whatever, then it can become a bigger deal when it shouldn't be. So I've learned that it doesn't need to be a big deal if you just communicate immediately and you just address things with people. And people want to do well, and they do. They want to do well, and so they don't know. So if something happens and you're into the third time that something's happened, then suddenly you've got other issues, right? Other staff members are affected, and it can kind of breed that toxic environment.
Someone taught me this, actually. A CEO from another company said to me, he's a client of mine, and he said to me, Morgan, we're dealing with firing and letting people go, and leading people. A big part of that is also being able to say goodbye, right? And saying goodbye to the right people. What he said to me is, if it's cancerous, it's an immediate. So like if it's cancerous, like you have to cut the umbilical cord. Don't be afraid of it. It's going to leak. It's going to get in the system.
It's
so
so
just
true.
immediately get to it. But if it is something that it's not posting concern, observe and then get to like you can kind of take your time, right?
Mhm.
And I think when you're leading people, it's really challenging to make those decisions on the fly right away and
Mhm.
not to be reactive,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And are you guys holding, a mission statement, a core values? Like, has the company really built into that? And how much is that directing your decisions?
Mm-hmm. We do. We have our core values. I'm going to try to rattle them off right now, but we've got, it's really.
Don't make me do mine.
I know.
Don't. There's 7. It's too many.
I know. We've got 4, and I need to actually have them right on my computer or something.
It's really challenging.
But they're very much so baked into our culture, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody for us is like, we all hold ourselves to a very high level or a very high standard of work. Whenever we're interviewing people, we always give them an idea of a day in the life at Gentle Fawn.
Love that.
So that they know what the culture is going to be like.
Mhm.
And for us, it's very heads down and hardworking. That is the culture. But we all lift our head up to have a laugh. And, like we enjoy having things like potlucks or, oh my gosh, there's always a baby shower happening because it's almost all women in our
I was going to
office.
say, I'm like, what is your percentage of a female with a female-led woman?
It's 99%.
Is
so
it
Danny's the guy. Danny's the one guy.
That's great. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Baby showers for sure. We love that.
Yeah.
So you run with your core values. You're always constantly leading by example, it sounds
Mhm.
like.
Yeah.
You're having fun, you're working hard. And are you finding that a lot of your recruitment and building into your company is based off of word of mouth? Or are you doing a lot of, are you going back to old school Carla and getting a recruitment company involved?
Oh, yeah. You know what I actually love? It's one of my favorite things to do. It's
Oh,
so
really?
funny. I love building teams.
Love that.
So that is one of my passions in the business. And I interview every single person that comes into the business. I think it's really important. And because we're still like 30 people in our HQ, it's not that big, right? You need to know who's coming into the business and make sure that
They're rubbing shoulders with all these people personally.
Yeah. And you've got to, and I know everybody in our office, and I want to make sure that whoever's coming on their team is going to be a great match, not only for the company, but for that team. And it's going to work. And I love it when, you meet those unicorns where there's somebody who's so special and they're ambitious and they're fun and they've just got great experience and they're just checking all of the boxes. So I absolutely love that. But I'm trying to remember what your first part of the question was.
I have a question just leading off of that because I could talk to Carla forever. How do you know how to hire? Like, I guess that's another question. Like, you're checking all these boxes.
Right. Oh, it was word of mouth. That's
word
what
of
you're
mouth,
asking.
right? Yeah.
How to hire. I mean, of course, there's LinkedIn, which, for us has been good resource, but it's still okay. And so the best way is word of mouth.
I feel like that.
And so we work with our team to say, like, who do you want to work with? And let's go and let's talk to these people. And then we have a referral bonus for our staff that just incentivizes them, right? But it is also just really keeping your network going and just talking to people in your industry and, just knowing people. And so, I use LinkedIn, I guess, differently, where I'm trying to get to know people on LinkedIn instead of just collecting followers and, and just using it only as a recruitment source.
How is your community in the fashion and, that level in Vancouver? Is it quite tight-knit?
It is so tight-knit.
Is it?
It's small. I mean, there are a few of the big guys that are out there.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you find somebody who is looking for an alternative, it's fantastic. And so that is amazing. But then it's like you've got to find somebody who's really passionate about looking for somebody like fashion specifically, because we're different. We're not in athleisure. We're not in, some of the other big guys in Vancouver. And so they've got to want to be in fashion. They've got to want to work for, a smaller company where they can kind of have their hands in everything and
adapt quickly.
And it's like number one for us is hiring people that have that entrepreneurial spirit. I need them to, because I need people to be thinking above and beyond just what they're doing. If someone comes and works for us and they're just thinking about the job description that we provided and they can't think outside of the box for what's next or where we could go, it's not going to last. It's not going to, it'll be okay, but it's not going to be a great experience.
Oh, I think that's so true. When you are hiring, of course, there's going to be so much growth, right, in your culture. How do you keep that culture so strong?
Well, we have an events committee.
Ooh, okay, I love that. Little flag.
Little flag, yeah, which is they make it fun. They keep everything going for us. And so we do all kinds of little fun things that,
Okay.
make it fun for the staff. And I think you need to do that because, like I said, we're pretty heads down and hardworking team, and everybody works really, really hard in our office. And so we've got to be able to have them come up for air and just say, okay, guys, like, you've done everything you can do to date. Now let's have a little fun and just, let's bring
Wow.
out some wine or whatever. We've got this, big matcha drinker. So
Oh,
make
cool.
them some matcha. And
Oh my gosh, everyone's like out of the drinks and they're going
Yeah.
like to the matcha land.
Yeah.
I'm on both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me about, of course, going into that leadership role, having this incredible team of really tight-knit group of people. There has to have been some mistakes along that way of whether it's in hiring or growing or scaling. What's one that comes to mind? A mistake, and maybe it's not a mistake. I think maybe it's just maybe some of that growing pains side of it as well.
Right. In hiring specifically?
Yeah, in hiring specifically and growing your team.
Yeah, I think that, in every company, you're going to have some bad hires that aren't right, either for whether it's skill, like they don't have the right skills to do the job, or whether it's not the right culture fit. And I think that it goes back to you need to hire slow and fire fast and, try to get it right the first time round.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's expensive and it's not great for anybody. I never want to be in that situation where I'm having to terminate somebody. And I never want that for the employee either. It's like, it's not a good scene. So we always try to, make those decisions, but it does happen from time to time. And I think that, what I learned from that is just try to, you need to have empathy and you need to be very respectful when in that situation. And you need to be aware of how it's affecting your team after.
Love that.
Yeah.
The follow-up.
The follow-up.
That is such a good point for any leader out there to understand that your change in that group can affect all the way through, specifically morale. Like I find, when we let go of somebody, it's not because of maybe they weren't the right fit or maybe there was something that we're trying to project moving forward to a different department, whatever it may be. And then that morale does get affected.
It does.
Right.
Yeah.
And to not know that is like negative EQ.
That's right. That's right.
I'm like, just going to say that.
Yeah.
Because you have to have that foresight.
That's right. Because people can have all kinds of feelings come up, right? They could feel insecure about, is my role going to be affected by this? What does that look like for me? What does that look like for the department? What's happening with the business? So we try to be as transparent as possible so that everybody feels comfortable. And I always have an open door policy that if anybody wants to just, come in and talk to me direct, then come on in and let's have that conversation.
What I found so fascinating when we were talking was how much you're in the States and how much, like, as everyone knows, we've been going through a bit of that tariff talk.
Talk. It was real. It was really real early in 2025.
Like, like, how has that, number one, I think the tariff, has it affected you? And do you still see massive growth, like, projections on the U.S. side?
Yeah. Our U.S. is still growing, which is, I don't have any wood to knock on right now, but it's good. Where the challenges were big in the first quarter of 2025, because I don't know if you remember that it went from when the new administration in the U.S. came in, it went from adding that 10% tariff to 20%, then it was 30%, and then it went to 150%. And so that is where we actually couldn't ship to the US at one point, and we had to reroute our orders into Canada because for every sweater, top, dress that we were shipping into the US, we might as well put another $50 bill into the pocket of that top because we were going to have to pay for it. And so it was crazy, right? So we had to we couldn't do it. And so it didn't make sense for us. So those orders were rerouted, and thankfully we were able to resell that product. But we did have some major account business in the US, and we couldn't sell it.
You couldn't sell it.
We couldn't sell it. And so that was very tricky. We had to redo our pricing multiple times because every time the tariff changed, we had to recalculate, okay, what is this going to look like?
To your retailers?
Well, no. So we actually honored our pricing to our retailers because we just felt like it wasn't fair. So we took the hit And so it wasn't until September. So the tariffs kept changing. And then we went through the first season where we just took it. And then we said, okay, for September onwards, if the tariffs continue to change, we'll have to have a different pricing strategy where we might need to give you new pricing before we ship. And that's like never in the history of our business have we ever seen anything like that happen. And so you never know what's going to happen here.
You never know what's going to happen.
Bit of a roller coaster. So anyways, at this stage, everything is back to normal. And so he went from, it was multiple countries that were affected, right?
I do not know how you dealt with that.
It was
like as a leader, to not be shook. Well, something kind of happened similar to my business where it was during COVID. We had offices all over the place and you have to adjust, right? You have to adjust to it. But I think not panicking is like the big thing.
Yes.
Like just keeping really calm. Honoring your word.
Yes.
Which you did beautifully. And so tell me what it looks like, for the future of Gentle Fawn in the States. Do you see massive growth happening? Do you see more retailers and also online? Is that really a thing?
Yes. So after the de minimis, which was the $800 threshold that you couldn't bring product from Canada into the US without having duty. And so that really affected our e-commerce business. And so you needed to have two separate warehouses. So we used to be able to ship everything out of the Canadian warehouse to our e-commerce customers in the US.
Okay.
So what that did, that meant that we needed to have two websites because you needed two URLs, one in the US, one in Canada, like old school, like how
this
it
is
used
old school.
This is old school, how it used to be. You needed to have two warehouses, two websites, which meant that our web store manager, her time is now being split in two. So, everything is doubling and really it didn't make sense for us. So we said, you know what, until things settle, we're going to have to just pull from our wholesale business. Our e-commerce business is going to have to pull from our wholesale business. And that was challenging right there. It was a bit messy for our US consumers. So now we're back on track. Everything is, we were able to, get a warehouse because, all of these things you've got to immediately kind of take action on.
You do.
And we had to make decisions on when the tariffs were happening, what was going to happen to the US. So we actually cut back our inventory, not knowing what was going to happen in the US. So now we're tracking back and we're able to, and so it's been really great because now we're seeing that US business grow.
Wow.
And we're really marketing towards the US as well. So things are really positive. And our US wholesale business is still, they're pretty steady. And so that's, so that's been great. So there's...
How much of that decision making, because you have your business with your husband, like I think a lot of people, would love to start something with their husband or their spouse, let's just say. I want you to give me like full on Carla godsend nuggets here. Okay. What are some really good nuggets that you've taken with working with your own spouse? Like, do you guys have boundaries on things? Like, what does it look like?
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Danny has always been really good where he's like, no work after 5.
Okay.
Right? So he doesn't want to he doesn't want to bring it home. So he's great about that.
How are you?
I'm probably bad. I could talk about work all day long. Love it. I love my business. So I mean, he does too, right? But he just has those boundaries.
So he put that up.
Okay. He put that
Love
up.
that.
Yeah. He put that up. And for us, we've really had to, I would say, Danny is very easygoing. And so we're very like yin and yang kind of personalities, right? So he's very relaxed and I'm more, well, I've been told I'm a little more intense.
This sounds very familiar to me. I get you.
And so it's, we've had to find ways though to communicate. I think that's what is key, right? And so making sure that, you're always having those conversations and you're just kind of taking a beat before you speak and you're thinking about things. And I would say 90% of the time, Danny and I are on the same page. Where we differ at times would be creatively. And so we're both in the creative meetings with our design and, color and some of the decision making. Danny is a very creative person. And so he really is quite passionate about that. And he's also quite logical too, which is a very unique combination for somebody.
It's very unique.
Yeah, it's very unique. And so, but I spend most of my time on the product development and design side. So I'm very passionate. So sometimes we kind of,
You're like, get out of my way.
Yeah. But we always work it out. We're always like trying to be very, calm and composed in front of the team. So
of course.
Yeah.
It's funny though, like having a partnership, it's nice to be able to say like, I revert to this person, I trust them in that space.
Mhm.
But I think when you get to creative side, when there's a couple creative people, which is like on my team, you have to come together eventually, but it takes time to get there,
It does.
right?
And it's messy.
It's messy and everyone's a little emotional about
Yes,
it. But
everyone's
it's like,
emotional.
calm down.
Yeah,
We're all good.
There's no straight line with the creative process.
Mhm.
It's very messy.
Yeah.
And so if you're very operations minded, you're probably not going to get the best creative product.
Yeah.
And so, you've got to be comfortable with living in that messiness for a bit.
That's a very good piece. Obviously, fashion is an incredibly competitive game. Like, I mean,
Yes.
we see it. And I guess one other question is, are your competitors in Vancouver, like the ones that you are working with, are you guys close? Or are you guys pretty like we're competition, like restaurants, like further away? Or is there a culture of
Competitors in Vancouver?
Yeah.
Not really.
There's not really a tight knit. That's what I've noticed a little bit, right?
There's not really. Vancouver's small. Like the fashion business is very small. In Canada in general, it's really small. So I would say more in the US. But, there's so many brands in the US that it can get very diluted as well,
When you're doing such good quality work. It's so good. How do you balance those trends yourself with staying true to your brand? Like there's so much trendy stuff that's happening in that space.
Well, Gentle Fawn is very timeless. And so,
timeless.
yes, we really focus on having timeless silhouettes, and it's got to be really quality fabrics. It's got to be flattering fits, and it's got to be effortless designs. So that is really what we're focused on.
Okay.
And we've got to meet all of those in order to overcome, I guess trends are going to be important and you have to be relevant. So we always nod to the trends, but we're not trendy.
No.
And so our customer comes to us for things that she wants to have in her closet for years to come, not for just, I'm going to wear this dress to an event and then it's going to sit in my closet and I'm never going to wear it again kind of thing. So she wants those go-tos. That's what she's looking for.
Yeah. And the silhouettes are so important. I think do more people find you because you're a Canadian brand, or do they find you because of, the purpose and what you guys have put out there as a brand?
I think it's our branding.
I think so too.
I think that we're known in Canada as being a Canadian brand, but brand awareness is something that we're really focused on working on.
Is it?
It is. Yeah. And so
what's the first thing you guys think of when you do that?
When we how do we put that out there?
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, that's our marketing team. And so, there's a lot of digital advertising, but then you need to really mix that in with gaining new followers organically. And so, that's something where we have a really, really high rate of return followers. So on our e-commerce site, it's something like, I don't know, I feel like it's like 80% of people that are shopping again for us. And so that's amazing, but we need to expand out there and have people and not having a retail store right now where people can touch and feel and see our brand and really kind of recognize our branding, and they see us only in our wholesale accounts. It's a little hard for them to make the connection sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why people do a lot of pop-up shops, right?
Pop-up shops. And
are you guys doing that type of thing? Or are you guys like, maybe? Releasing it on Get Out? I love it. I mean, I do believe in feeling fabric and looking at it, right?
Yes.
Even if it's just like a short minute, right? Getting people introduced to your brand.
Absolutely.
Right? Even though people already know of the brand, but you guys are doing incredible changeover of new styles and classics that people want to wear, right?
Thank you.
I always wonder, as a woman in business, I mean, you're in this fashion business, which I would assume to be a female leader and a female owner, it would be not to say easier, but more welcoming. Is that true in that space? Or are you finding that there's still that kind of,
I think that in the early days, that when I was younger, I think that it was challenging being in front of some of the professionals. Like there was a couple times that there were a couple of lawyers that quickly dismissed me and spoke to Danny, and they didn't last long.
Yeah.
And
we don't work with people like that.
We don't work. Exactly. We do not need to work with people like that. And then I think that, working with factories in different countries where there's different cultures, that can be challenging because they are used to working with an owner who's a male. And so A lot of that has broken down over the years. I don't know if it's because I have more wrinkles than like chubby cheeks now. And so,
Like, you're mature. You're good.
Yeah,
Come on in here.
Yeah. So they're more,
At
there's
27,
there's
right?
more confidence. Yeah. Yeah. So it took some time, but I think that it's definitely, women are always going to have their challenges for sure,
Yeah.
but it's getting better. And I think that for me personally, I surround myself with a lot of different women's groups.
Love that.
And yeah, so I have a lot of supportive, powerful women in my life that I lean on and, I talk to. And so, yeah, I'm not as affected by that.
I love that. And that's a really good note. Just reaching out to a community. It doesn't have to be your community, like the fashion business, but other women-led businesses that can be supportive to you. I just feel so much confidence when I talk to you, Carla. Like, was that there for you the whole entire time? Did you have confidence of the brand and yourself as much as,
Well, I think that even confidence is also something that ebbs and flows all the time, So there's times that I will, especially, when I first launched the business with Danny, I was like 100% confident, here we go. And then you get knocked down and then you feel, that little inner critic is like chirping in your ear. And then you get back up and you feel great. And then something else happens. And so it's part of life. And I think that as long as you're able to learn and pick yourself back up and gain more confidence, you just learn from whatever gave you that lack of confidence, that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you just have to have that attitude that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that advice is so important. I think a lot of people are going to be, they sit with that imposter syndrome, especially when they first start.
Yeah.
But then kind of building up that new stages of growth is so important. Personally, how have you grown and what has entrepreneurship taught you throughout this last couple decades?
So much,
Wow.
so much, right? Well, entrepreneurship has taught me that, well, for one thing, I love being an entrepreneur.
Oh,
I love my business. And so I don't know if I could ever be an employee. I don't know if I would be a good employee.
It's hard.
I do really love having a vision that I can share. And I love growing and building. And so I guess it's taught me a lot about myself and that you can make something out of nothing and you can share this with other people that love it too. So your customers, retail customers, consumers, and it's such a rewarding experience. And
I think that's such a beautiful thing. And how do you handle stress? Like, how do you handle stress and like pressure? Because you're so calm about this.
Oh,
you're like, right now I'm calm.
Yeah, right now I'm calm. Well, whenever I'm feeling really stressed, I get it really like in my throat and I get it in my chest and my stomach.
Like your chakra is like here.
It's right up here. And the only way that I can get rid of that is just to run like crazy. And so there's these like stairs that are over by, I live in Tsawwassen, and so there's these stairs that go down to the beach by my house, and I will run up and down. There's like 300 stairs. I will run up and down them until I am completely exhausted. And then I know I have a clear head. I feel better. I'm going to sleep tonight.
So your kids are like, your daughters are like, oh yeah, mom is running up and down those stairs again. Something's going on.
Yeah.
But you clear it, right?
I clear it.
That stress is so important. And some people it's like daily and some people it's like weekly. It just depends on.
Well, and I need to exercise regularly. So I find if I'm exercising on a regular basis, then the stress is managed. Yeah. And I feel good. I actually feel good. I have more energy. I feel more positive. But when I'm not exercising, then that's when it, it seeps in. It starts to build up. Yeah.
Tell me what you're excited about with Gentle Fawn coming up.
Okay. Well, our e-commerce is really growing fast. So that is very exciting. We're expanding our team. And so we're so excited about that. Brand awareness is something that is really on the agenda this year. And so we are talking about what does that look like for us? So we're at the very infancy stage of thinking about pop-up shops or like maybe some kind of a flagship store or something like that. Nothing that would disrupt our wholesale business, but something that would be in a place where we could have, build that brand awareness for people to come and feel and experience what Gentle Fawn looks like.
Oh, I love that. How much are you planning with like strategic planning every year? Are you doing that yearly or are you doing quarterly meetups? Like what does it look like on the agendas?
At the beginning of every year, we get together with our leadership team. So we have a director in every department.
Beautiful.
Amazingly talented and smart women. And we begin with what our goals are for the year. And then we have monthly meetings actually to just talk about where we are with each of the KPIs and our goals and like what challenges are we having and, where can we pivot, that type of thing. And then we kind of have that check-in point after about 6 months to see how far along we've come and then, what's left to go. And because our industry is about a year long
That's what I was going to ask you. It's a year long,
it's
right?
a year, yeah.
From the day.
Yeah, from the initial inception of ideas to making the fabric to the prototypes to salesman samples to selling to freight coming from offshore and then to the warehouse and then through to shipping to customers. So all of that takes about a year and then photo shoots and everything in between. And
gosh.
Yeah, there's
so much like forward thinking.
So much forward thinking
in fashion, just so much.
Yeah.
And a lot of projections, obviously.
A lot of projections.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when you've got these other side projects that you want to do to, take that business to the next level, it's fitting that in and just like really kind of having those stretch goals.
Well, you must be so excited because I'm excited because I feel like Gentle Fawn is just almost getting started again.
Yes.
Like it's a weird feeling about Gentle Fawn. I'm like, it's getting started again.
It is. It is.
And you have to iterate, you have to change, you have to adapt, but you guys are probably one of the most, I've been watching from afar for so long and I'm such a fan of your brand. I feel like there's so much more that's going to come out in the next little bit that we're all very excited for. And I think the e-commerce side is like very exciting, just having more people involved. Tell me, I think just as your one kind of last note, and I could talk to you for so long, Carla, I feel like I need a part two. I need a part two. How are you, because you're kind of starting new and you've raised your children with this company and now you're kind of getting to this next phase of it. How are you balancing all that ambition, to ensure that you're, feeling 100% full in the whole thing?
With the kids?
Yeah, with the kids.
Well, the kids are, I'm at,
older.
I mean, this might be why you're feeling like Gentle Fawn's on chapter 2 because
I feel like it.
because the kids are also on chapter 2. Yeah. So I've got one that's, she's actually working with us through the summer. And so, which is really exciting to have her.
Exciting.
But ultimately, I think she wants to do her own thing in life. She's, anyhow.
You never know. They might fly back.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want.
Yeah. So she's in university and then I have one that's graduating. So, for Danny and I, it's like we've got this whole new chapter that it kind of opens things up for us where the kids are both driving, they're very independent. Right?
Independent.
So it's allowed us more freedom to do more and focus more.
That's the best thing about entrepreneurship, though, is that even when you're an entrepreneur, like people kind of misread that you do work a lot. But when you do have a little bit more freedom with that schedule, if you can, you actually spend a lot of time with your kids too. Like, do you feel like that's a misconception there with the entrepreneurship and like working with the family?
We have set times, but like we've been very intentional with the kids to be like every Sunday night is dinner night. And then we have Wednesday night is also dinner night. And so those are, non-negotiable. Yeah, those are family. And then we always get together if there's like, any kind of occasion. It's like we're always getting together. It's assumed everyone's coming to our house and we're just... Yeah, so we're very close with our daughters and we're a super tight family and we do lots of things together. And
I'm so happy.
We're always like, all of their friends are always welcome to come over. And, it's always been that way. So I would say that is true. We do spend a lot of time with the kids and it's not like we're working till, midnight, 3 a.m, trying to push through the grind. And,
no. Yeah. But do you think that being an entrepreneur mom, your kids have watched that and have taken something from that?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, we talk to them a lot about that.
Yeah, like a working mom.
Mom, yeah. And I recently have actually taken both of my daughters to the YWCA Women of Distinction Awards, and then I also to the Spoken Women in Leadership.
Very good.
I'm a little ad for both of those.
I know,
but
there
anyways.
You go.
But it was great. I wanted them to experience that so that they could see other women in business and sort of see, the opportunities that are out there and what other women are doing and how amazing, this world is right now for women and all the things
specifically
that they can do.
In Canada. Very blessed to be here and in British Columbia. And I love that. Again, I could go into part 2 and I could talk to you about finance, but I'm not doing it today. We're going to do part 2 with Carla. I'm going to do just a kind of a rapid fire for you to end things off because I've been getting warned in the corner of my eye. Talking too much, Morgan. What is the biggest business lesson you've ever learned?
Maybe I can talk to you about risk,
I
about
think
one
that's
thing
great.
so it's in the early days, we actually had to put up a lot of our personal guarantee.
Yes.
And so that's something that I don't know that a lot of new entrepreneurs are aware of.
Mhm.
And so that is a huge risk. And so that's something that I think is really important to be aware of, because the banks don't want to take a risk on you unless you have a lot to back it up. And we needed a lot to manage our cash flow. And so we needed a sizable line of credit. And so putting that personal guarantee was a big business move for us.
Oh my gosh.
Back in the early days.
I remember, no, I was the same way.
Yeah.
I remember walking down the stairs after signing and laughing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
We're putting our houses up.
Yes.
We were like just new moms. Like, it's just a very interesting thing. But you take that risk. And what was the learning lesson of that, though? Was it
failure is not an option?
It's not an option.
It's not an option. And that was just,
it's a reality.
It was a very much so a reality. And you were very focused on making sure that your budgets were tight and that every penny that you spent needed to be spent and that your time is precious. So make sure, you're getting it right and secure those sales.
Oh my God. I'm going to make that a clip. It's so good. What's the worst advice you've ever received from somebody else?
Oh, gosh. Good question. The worst advice that I've ever received.
And maybe in business. Yeah. In general. Not in life. In life, it's like...
I guess it would have to be around getting pressured to do things, to spend in ways that without thinking things through, like without really kind of doing your due diligence on things and just doing things on a whim. And, it's your money and you have to make sure that you are being really careful with it because that money can just disappear really fast if you're not careful. And so you want to make sure that wherever you're putting your budget is going to be generating, dollars for you.
Love that. What's one book that every entrepreneur should read?
Oh,
that's a tough one. Or podcast.
Oh, Get on Top. Hello.
Get on top. Hear that? Hear that, everybody?
Yeah,
we're doing it.
Yeah, I would say honestly, I think I've listened to every single one of your episodes. I love it. I love the energy. I love the business talks. It's so good.
I love you for that. I can't. I'm trying to share the wealth of all these beautiful people like yourself.
You're accomplishing it.
I want to know, how do you take space for yourself? I think as an entrepreneur, like some people have to get away. What's your thing that kind of brings you back down?
Time with my friends.
I love that.
Yeah, time with my friends. I think that, I do spend a lot of time going out with, business associates and, you're going to different events, you're doing all of these kinds of things. And I have my 3 closest girlfriends and they're my everything. And so I need that time with them. It's so important.
Oh my God. I'm with them. I'm with my 2 best friends in Vegas this weekend. So I believe in good counsel.
Yes.
We're all turning 40. It's just going to be a riot. Riot.
Yeah.
At no doubt. Okay. What does Get on Top mean to you?
Oh, well, it means opening up your mind to business opportunities, like just keeping things open to opportunities you didn't even know that existed. Thinking big.
Oh, that was the best. And Get on Top. Okay. My last but not least is, what's next for Gentle Fawn? If you were to put it in one word, what is that for you?
I would say retail.
Retail? I can't wait. Thanks, Carla. Thank you so much for being on Get on Top.
Thank you.
Thanks.